today we're going on a journey. We're taking an ancient text, Surah An-Najm, and looking at it not as a history lesson, but as a kind of map for inner transformation. We're going to see if we can find the guiding star that shines inside each of us. So let's just start with this one big idea. What if this ancient text isn't actually about events that happened thousands of years ago, but is really a detailed map of the landscape inside your own mind? That's the lens we're going to be using today. And that brings us to the very beginning of this journey, the symbol that kicks the whole thing off, a star inside you. You can think of this as your call to adventure, that first little spark that gets this whole process of self-discovery going. So, what is this star? Well, in Arabic, it's Najm. Now, linguistically, this is way more than just a thing up in the sky. The root of the word means to emerge gradually, or to become visible after being hidden. So it's like a spark of an idea, right? A moment of realization that slowly comes into focus and starts to guide you through the darkness of your own consciousness. And to really get what this inner light is, it helps to see what it's not. On one side, you've got the Najm, the star. It's subtle, it's scattered insights. These are your little aha moments that pop up. But on the other side, you have the Shams, the sun. And that represents this constant, overwhelming light of absolute truth. This journey isn't about some sudden blinding flash of enlightenment. It's about learning to navigate by following these smaller, individual stars of insight, one by one. Okay, so if the stars are our guideposts, who's our guide? This is where the interpretation gets really, really cool. The hero of this inner story isn't some historical figure. It's something we all have, our own innate common sense. This is the mentor we meet on the journey. Common sense here is described as a polished mirror within. It's that quiet, clear wisdom that we can all tap into. You know, it doesn't shout, it kind of whispers warnings and gently pulls us back to what's balanced and just. It's the voice of clarity that you can finally hear when all that ego chatter quiets down. And our inner guide doesn't travel alone. It's got companions, and these are interpreted as our own psychological abilities. Things like our ability to look ahead, our intellect, our power to heal and reconcile, and all of our collected experience and awareness. Altogether, they create a full support system for this journey inward. Of course, every hero's journey has its trials, and in this inner map, the big conflict is facing down what the Source calls the three great idols of the mind. These are the internal roadblocks that are standing in our way and stopping us from moving forward. The first idol is El-Lat, and it basically represents self-deception. Its linguistic root is all about mixing, like mixing truth with lies to make ourselves feel better. It's that part of us that creates these comforting illusions so we can hide our bad habits and avoid facing uncomfortable truths. Next up, we have Al-Uzza. This is the idol of the ego's drive for power. The root of the word points to might and intensity. So this is our craving for control, for feeling superior, for getting recognition. It's that inflated, narcissistic part of us that hates being questioned and has totally forgotten what humility is. It's just power with no balance. And finally, there's Manat, which this interpretation suggests is actually the most dangerous of the three. Its root is connected to wishful thinking and desire. This is the part of us that just clings to these false hopes and vague desires, and it leads directly to passivity, fatalism, and just putting things off. It completely paralyzes us and stops us from taking any real meaningful action. So here's the crucial part. It's how these three work together that makes them so powerful. It's a cycle. First, with Al-Lat, we lie to ourselves. Then, based on those lies, we build up this big inflated ego with Al-Uzza. And finally, stuck inside this false self, we fall right into the trap of Manat, procrastinating, just waiting for some kind of fate that might never actually arrive. This whole destructive cycle leads us to our great ordeal, facing the fallout and trying to break free from these old patterns. And this shows up as two really distinct psychological states that we have to overcome. The first state is called Ad. Its linguistic root literally means to return or to repeat. And psychologically, that's exactly what it is, the cycle of old habits. It's that super frustrating pattern of falling right back into our old ego traps and illusions, even after we've just had a moment of clarity. It's that feeling of being totally stuck in a loop. So what's the result of being stuck in that endless loop? You get to a state called thamud. The root of this word means scantiness of water, or just dried up. This is spiritual exhaustion. Your inner self becomes hard, rigid, and loses its vitality and flow. Constantly repeating the same mistakes leads to this inner dryness. So how in the world do we break free? Well, the final act of this inner journey isn't some great battle of wills. It's something else entirely. It's surrender. It's that moment when the false, ego-driven self just collapses. And that collapse is what leads to the ultimate transformation. This quote just nails it perfectly. The solution isn't about knowing more things or figuring it all out intellectually. It's about an inner prostration, a state where the ego completely yields to a deeper reality, finally admitting, I'm not the one in control here. And it all culminates in this simple, powerful command: so surrender and serve. The whole illusion of a separate, controlling self just dissolves. But what's left isn't emptiness. It's this deep alignment with a truth that's so much bigger than your ego ever was. So this entire journey, from that first little spark of an idea to the final act of surrender, really offers us a profound inner map. And so it leaves all of us with one final question to think about. What inner star is waiting for you to follow?